Again, sorry for that. I've never done a talk at a silent disco before. This is my first time, so it's an interesting experience, but everyone can hear me, right? Fantastic. Thank you very much for coming here today and attending this talk. Really excited about the work that we do and happy to showcase it. My name is Ahmed Daoud, and I'm the Executive Director of Innovation at the Royal Commission for AlUla. The Royal Commission for AlUla is the entity responsible for the stewardship of the county and the destination of AlUla in Saudi Arabia. And my job within that context is to ensure that our destination and our county is continuously relevant, differentiated, and competitive. So, walk in the park. So, with that, let me show you a little video of our destination. This is where we're located in a broader context. And this is us. Yep. So AlUla is part of a series of oases in the Arabian Peninsula, and for millennia people have been coming to this region to reap the benefits of the oases and the resources they're in, but also of the commerce and the intersection of cultures and civilizations that occurred there. So AlUla was once the heart and the capital of the ancient Lihyanite and Dadanite kingdoms of ancient Arabia. It was also the southernmost principal city of the Nabatean kingdom, which extends from Petra. And it was also the southernmost border of the Roman Empire. So we have pieces of all of these civilizations throughout time that not only existed, but also collided and intersected there. You saw Hegra a moment ago. The tombs in AlUla are protected by heads of Medusa from ancient Greece and eagles from ancient Egypt, really showcasing how the trade routes that went through there, the spice route, the incense trading route, and the Ottoman trading routes all met there and brought different civilizations and cultures together in AlUla. So, and most recently, AlUla was also named one of the 7 wonders of the world by Condé Nast magazine. So that's an achievement we're very proud of, that the work that we're doing to showcase this destination, its beauty, is finally coming to bear and being recognized. And for me personally, I'm not Saudi. I'm a Sudanese American, but currently I'm a very proud citizen of AlUla. I'm really excited by the energy that's happening there, the vision in Saudi Arabia, and how that's being manifested into the most rapid transformation and change of a nation anywhere in recent history. And I'm an engineer by training, so I'm very fascinated to live in what I believe is the world's largest startup currently. Any other engineers in the stage? Show of hands. Fantastic. Good luck not getting disrupted by ChatGPT, but I wouldn't bet on it. So I've spent quite a bit of time as an engineer. I've worked on everything from healthcare to high performance computing, semiconductors to supercomputers, digital health, and everything else in between. But of everything that I've done, nothing has taught me more about myself and about innovation and technology than my biggest failure. Many years ago, I was the founding CTO of a digital health startup. We seemed to be doing really well. We were using wearables to provide aging adults and senior citizens a higher quality of life, and that was our mission. How can we use wearable technology to allow aging adults more autonomy, more independence, and a better quality of life, and a lower level of managed care? We spent a lot of time working on building this product. Spent 2 years building a piece of hardware, right? Like, who's doing hardware anymore? But somehow I thought that was a good idea at the time. And so did Microsoft, where we were incubated for a long time. We received investment from a lot of the insurance companies that felt like this was really going to help them in their actuarial models. And when I finally had a working prototype and I took it to a group of senior citizens in a senior center, they absolutely hated it. And I was devastated, not just because what I built had failed, but more importantly, at the disappointment of the people that believed in me, the team that I had built, and they trusted me, that I was leading them somewhere fruitful, that I was building something of purpose and something with value. I didn't know how I was going to feast the people that now I had to let go of. I didn't know how I would pay my rent. The impact was very significant and very much felt. But it led me to realize that when I showed up to these senior citizens and I said, "You're welcome, this is fantastic, I'm sure of it," I wasn't being empathetic, I was being arrogant. And it was surprising now that I see it in hindsight that I didn't see it. So this caused me to really rethink my perspective towards technology, towards innovation, recalibrate and reorient where I start the design process. And it isn't just with human-centric design or any of the Stanford D School stuff. It's really more of how do you extend your capacity to be compassionate, to actually love the people that you're designing for, so you're building things that actually conform to their needs, actually help manifest their aspirations in life. So I went and I lived in a senior home for 2 weeks, and I learned an abundance of lessons about life, about love, about loss, about the transience of time, all things that I carry with me every single day since. These have been the 2 most impactful weeks of my life. And since then, the product that we've developed was actually scaled down in terms of its technological complexity. The IP that we filed really isn't being used in the product, but we developed a product that fit these stakeholders' needs and actually meant something in the context of their lives. And as I now take on the responsibility of innovation for the county of AlUla and the destination of AlUla, I find it as being the ideal backdrop, the ideal canvas to develop compassionate, intentional innovation products that serve the local farmer in AlUla, but also the visitor and the tourist coming to visit us, because both of these stakeholders are extremely important to me, and I do love both of them. The farmer has been farming for generations, and this industry matters to him. And the visitor is someone that took time out of their life, time out of the commitment, time out of the people they love to come and be at our destination. That is a responsibility we don't take lightly. So how do we continue to develop products that are not grounded in commercial value, but are actually grounded in a compassion towards our stakeholders, towards our visitors in tourism? And that is actually my argument, that that's the way to unlock the commercial value, to differentiate as in a highly competitive market as a tourism destination. But that doesn't come without challenges. We live at a time as a destination with a core USP focused around heritage and culture, and slowing down and consuming things around you at a slow, measured pace to really unpack the value they're in. We live at a time where people spend about 7 hours on average on their smartphones. That's almost 50% of your waking hours. And we check our phones 340 times a day. So that's almost once every 3 minutes. It's surprising we have time for anything at all. So the key is not to say we're going to change the habits of people, but how do we make a destination such as ours relevant to shifting demographics and compassionate towards those same demographics? The challenges we face exist in multiple dimensions. Heritage is traditionally an industry where the tourists, the visitors, trend slightly older. And more so, the younger generation is disinterested in heritage and culture. And this is not an opinion, this is an unfortunate empirical fact. So how do we design experiences to make culture and heritage relevant to them, to connect the young population, the digitally enabled population, the leaders of tomorrow, with the deeper narrative of their cultural and heritage context of the world they live in? Because I believe that will make people more empathetic leaders, more empathetic technologists. Also, how do we create a destination that is revisitable, that people want to come back to, right? Because the core value in a destination that is built around heritage, or about history, is that history is a time machine, a time capsule that has remained unchanged. So how do you make it revisitable? How do you create platforms for new content on top of it? But also, how do we make it accessible to people from different cultures? So if you come and visit us in AlUla, there's a lot of magnificent heritage there that you can come and visit. And we can give you a tour in Arabic, our local language, and we can give you a tour in English. But if you're a Spaniard that's more comfortable in Spanish, and you want to really learn about these stories, these deep, complex narratives, in a language that you feel more comfortable in, sorry, we don't offer that. So how do we use technology to augment some of these gaps to make the destination more accessible to a broader audience? And also, how do we make a destination that doesn't have a monologue with you? Young people today don't want to be talked at. And that's something worth respecting and valuing. They want to have a dialogue with their culture. We see that on social media and how they can create and consume culture in real time. They want to have a dialogue with the culture that they interact with. Otherwise, they disengage. So how do we build a destination that can have a dialogue with you as opposed to a monologue to you? So some of the ways we've been thinking about how do we purposefully and respectfully address some of these challenges is that we've been looking at augmented reality as a way to solve the problem of having different needs for different stakeholders at the same destination at the same time. We're able to use augmented reality, and we're working on several initiatives in this regard in 2023 of how we can overlay new content on top of a destination. So the person who's a purist and wants to consume this destination, the heritage, in its pure, unadulterated form is able to do so, while at the same time a millennial next to them can consume this destination as a series of content that renews and refreshes using augmented reality, where we blend the barrier between the real, the history, and the future, and the new content. We're also looking at computational vision to identify where people are, and wearables to identify people's identity, to be able to deliver tour guides in your language of choice, whether that's Finnish or Danish or Spanish or English. We've also been looking at how we can bring this heritage to life in a way that's interactive, going back to this dialogue in a very literal sense. We have a magnificent body of work. These Nabateans told us a lot about themselves. They really thought highly of themselves. So we have inscriptions of them everywhere. They covered the rocks in AlUla, sorry, with what they thought about the world and what their opinions are. So we're able to aggregate all of this information, all of this written knowledge that we can translate now, and build it into a data model, feed that into a chatbot AI, and allow people to come and have a conversation with an ancient Nabatean, with all their biases, with all their worldviews, with all their interests, their fears and anxieties and aspirations. So we can really connect with someone who existed 4,000 years ago as if they live with you here in 2023. And last but not least, we've been looking at the metaverse as a new frontier, as a new platform where people are creating and consuming culture in real time. We mentioned Hegra earlier as having been the southernmost part of the Nabatean kingdom and being currently a UNESCO World Heritage Protected Site. But what a lot of people don't know is that Hegra is also now the world's first official UNESCO Heritage Protected Site on the metaverse. By doing so, we were able to create new value, not only for the heritage, but for the metaverse. Instead of pontificating around what is the value of the metaverse to commercial models, to business models, we decided to think about how can we create value out of the metaverse for humanity. So we were able to use the metaverse to put an important piece of human heritage and make it accessible, democratize access to it, and even extend access to it beyond what is possible in the real physical world. If you come and visit Hegra today for conservation purposes, our archaeologists will not allow you to enter the inside of the tombs. But you can do that all day long in the metaverse, because we've 3D scanned the exterior and the interior, and you're able to enter a 2-scale version of the tomb today on the metaverse. We actually host meetings inside it now on the metaverse. So let me give you a little sneak peek of what that looks like. there you have it. Nope, sorry. And that's almost time for me. But I'll just close quickly by telling you that I couldn't be more proud of the work that we're doing. I couldn't be more proud about how we're contributing to the fabric of culture as we know it today, and how we're bringing together history from 4,000 years ago to cutting-edge future technologies to create new value, not only for our destination, not only for our stakeholders, not only commercial value, but value for the future of humanity. And that's really what we care about. We're more excited we're more excited about what's to come than what we've already done. We're introducing fresh new experiences on the metaverse to allow you to consume the heritage that we have aerially with a hot air balloon. We're also creating new models of engagement where people can come and learn about new sports such as polo. We're hosting the Reimagine polo race in AlUla next week. So that's going to be activated as well in real time in the metaverse. And we're going to continue to explore these new frontiers. We don't know if these experiments will fully succeed. We have confidence that they will. But that's what matters. That's what's important, is that we continue to experiment with new frontiers. We continue to explore what's next and how can we create new authentic value. As a professor of machine learning at University of Washington, a good friend of mine, Dr. Ahmed once said, "We are the ancients," when asked about the role of AI in heritage. It's a really profound statement. We are the ancients. One day, several thousand years from now, people will look back at me, at us, and say, what have we done? What is the mark that we left to improve their lives then? So just as Nabateans had a claim and a right to respect the land and the heritage, we have a claim to a right and a responsibility to respect the heritage, but also a claim to add new heritage. And we will continue to do that, and hopefully you'll become part of that story and visit us in AlUla as well. Thank you very much.